Forward. There are some things to understand about what is on the pages of this book and the serious influx of ideas and new pathways it can bring into your personal experiences and personal power within your personal life. First and foremost, I wrote this book in the winter of 2000-2001 under the influence of the Holy Spirit, and I thank God for that too. This was the beginning of a massive change in my personal life and a massive vision, which I am now beginning to understand in 2005. Many things came to life for me both during and after this. Frankly, things are still coming to life for me as well. The experience that came at the time of this process has led me to a whole different kind of life and vision. Another thing for the reader to understand is that I am no churchy saint. I have been places and learned hard lessons that would scare the heck out of any common churchgoer. So when I explain to you how real all of this experience was and still is for me, I'm in the hopes that you will take that at face value. There is information in this book that will bring so many things into focus for you. I know this to be absolute truth because I experienced it firsthand. Just the knowledge alone in these pages has brought great and massive change to my outlook in life, and I am fully aware that it will more than do the same for you. The value of what is in this book cannot be measured. There were many, many revelations that followed the writing of this book. One of the most important and enlightening from my personal perspective was the revelation of what the science and physics of righteousness is from another level of discovery of its meaning. Although I would love to take credit for this earth-shattering discovery, in all fairness, I can't. This was handed to me with a massive set of other knowledge having to do with the human experience and its importance in terms of a serious and profound relationship with a very enlightened intelligence and consciousness that reigns over the universe at large. We all know who God is. What we have yet to look deeply into is the what of God and the what of the Christ. This is kind of like having a son or daughter and being so busy with trying to mold them into what you want them to be that you overlook the whole idea that they are actually human beings with divine rights and thoughts of their own. Maybe they do not want to be a doctor or lawyer or ball player. Maybe they have ideas that you can't even begin to grapple with because you are not them. The what of this life force is simply what we need to really and truly understand in these times that we live in. The who of it all is already mapped out and attached to so many religious doctrines that it fills many buildings with books. This is the hard reality part of where I tell you about the box you are shoving God and Christ into so that you can cart them around and so that they fit into all the teachings and ideas that you have been indoctrinated into of how they are supposed to be. Take a lesson. Although you will not find a stitch of math in this book, you will find very serious principles of hardcore, cutting-edge physics of this current century. They are merely put into terms that anyone can understand. You see, I was guided to title this book The Physics of Jesus Christ because of the times we live in. I am also now altering this title to take in an even more massive idea to suit the times we live in. This is why I'm using the term meta. We live in times like none other. This is a time where concepts that would be impossible to look at even 40 years ago can be easily understood today because of how much the society has learned since that time of 40 years ago. From what I understand, this book is most relevant for the opening decades of the current 21st century that we are all partaking of right now. Please allow me to explain to you how this book is designed and how to get the very most out of it. I was given a mandate with this book that I was not supposed to let it go to an editor who would chop it up, the stark reality of literary editing, by the way, so that it would sell. So because the power of the experience of how this book poured through me was just so damn mind-blowing and real, I never let that happen. Sometimes in life, the real and overwhelming experience of what you go through in real terms just simply supersedes the way things are supposed to be looked at in business, religion, society, education, and many other things of how systems are currently run. This concept in view and the others that followed it is one of those times. I have used the same principle on my other work that falls into this energy and field of discovery. That is why it looks like it has not come under the knife of a mainstream editor who does his or her job with the idea that this book or piece of art or piece of craft has to sell 1 million copies. This book is not meant to be read like a novel or a book that you would just sit down and read in one sitting. The concepts in here are just too potent for that. They are meant to be read one chapter at a time, then pondered on for all the meaning you can possibly get from it. From there, then on to the next chapter. I know this is unheard of, but you are just going to have to trust me on this. You have much to gain and merely the pittance of a price of this book to lose. What is a life-altering vision worth to any of us as human experiences anyway? Some people gladly trade fortunes for it. I am putting this in your hands for the cost of me doing business in America and also to further this same work. You will also want to come to grips with the idea that I am not a preacher, or at least I do not think I am. What I am is some guy who has had a massive and overwhelming real experience. Also a man who's been handed a mandate and a vision. All that is required of me is to get you to see and clearly understand this vision. The rest of this is up to the living, unseen universe. I tell you this because I have not had a churchy kind of life, nor do I adhere to churchy kind of rules. In its stead, I do my utmost to follow principles in life that I can truly wrap my head and spirit and consciousness around, and that has managed to wrap around me. And although that may sound like a contradiction in terms, it is very free and liberating experience. If this book begins to speak to you, what I guarantee you is that you will become really empowered through what you get here. This is because it is not so much the words and how they have been strung together that is creating the process here, but a certain kind of real energy and consciousness and a pure essence thing that carries with it power. It's almost like it comes out of the book and into your personal consciousness to affect your personal field. Just try it out and see what I mean here. Well, that's about it for this forward. The rest I leave up to you and the living unseen universe. This really is a refreshing way to live life. It frees me from the pressures. And since I'm the one reading this book, Vincent J. Pepper's the author, sort of. That is the end of the forward. Onward now.